Good morning, beloveds. I didn't hear my alarm go off this morning, so it was pretty much 7 o'clock, a little before 7 o'clock, when it occurred to me that my alarm was going off, and I was like, I should get up. It's run day. I need to go for a run. So I got up and I went into my bathroom, and I have a tiny little window in my bathroom, and the light was weird because it's those frosted windows, and the light was weird, and I was like, oh. So I threw clothes on. I went out and I grabbed my phone and I went outside because I could tell by the light coming through my bathroom window, which faces roughly east, kind of southeast, but the clouds were glorious, and I was right. So I only took a couple of pictures because it's like the first picture did it justice, and I was like, all right. So I took a couple, and then when we left, 20 minutes later for the run, the color was gone. The clouds were white. But I went ahead and took a picture because they were pretty. the way the sun coming up over the horizon had highlighted it. So I suspect if you follow sunrises today here in Houston, be on the lookout because there's probably going to be some really glorious shots today. Be interesting to see if the sunset is as pretty. But a whole lot of the clouds are gone, so who knows? You never know. You never know. But that was my morning. I was like, yes. And then we went for the run, and yeah, it was all good. All right. So February is the month of love. So we are in the month of love, and it is February 2nd. And our title is I Have Limitless Imagination. Open thou mine eyes that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law. And that is Psalm 119:18. The greatest satisfaction in using the law of life is in the consciousness that such a power is available, rather than in any use we make of it. For any particular use we make of it is a passing thing, whether it be healing oneself or others, or producing any other temporary good. All of these are transitory, and there is something in everyone that longs for permanency. The artist knows that even though he has created something beautiful, it can be destroyed. His real and innermost satisfaction is not the object, but the subject, that thing within him that penetrates the mystic splendor of beauty itself. So it is with all our temporary creations. Empires may rise and fall, chance and change, the comings and goings of human events inevitably must give way to something bigger. You are greater than the sum total of all the experiences you have had. I know that a law of life exists and that I am one with it and inseparable from it. I am part of an infinite energy from which I draw limitless creative imagination. This energy is the invisible essence and the substance of every visible form. Its nature is goodness, truth, beauty, and love, and that is my nature too. Alrighty then. And what I was reminded of is I bought one and then I ended up not using it, so I ended up using it for a white elephant. But it was called a Buddha board, and I got it at Barnes and Noble. You can probably still get them, and kind of right now I want to go get one. But basically the concept of it was it was a drawing board that you used a brush and water on. And whatever you created only lasted as long as the water did, and when the water dried, the creation was gone. Which is kind of interesting. And then I mean, obviously there are ways to make it more permanent, take a picture of it. Because I did that. I did an exercise when we were in the Denver Museum for David's graduation. They had a Leonardo da Vinci exhibit, which was phenomenal. But one of the things that they did was because Leonardo invented the selfie, by the way. He was, I think, if not the first artist, the first well-known artist who painted a self-portrait. And they had plexiglass with mirrors, and what you would do is you would take dry erase markers and then you draw on the plexiglass. You put your face in the mirror and then you trace your face. And so you would make a self-portrait, and it was fascinating to do. It was fascinating to do. And then you could put a piece of paper behind it and take a picture of it. But they're temporary, because then, you would erase it and walk away and somebody else would create a new art. And sunrises and sunsets, you want to talk about fleeting beauty. It's like they happen every single day, sunrises and sunsets. And some days they are absolutely glorious, and the only place that they live is in your head. But you have hope because you know it'll happen again tomorrow. Will it look the same? Never. It never looks the same way twice. Never does. Because the earth rotates, and there are clouds, and there aren't clouds, and, all of that. And so the idea of beauty lives within you, because the beauty that happens out there is fleeting. And so these ideas, and I think that's what he's talking about. It's like, what it is within you. What we see out in I'm stealing it from Shakespeare, mortal coil. What we see in the mortal coil doesn't last, but the ideas within us do. And that is where our happiness comes from. It doesn't come from the material outside, but it comes from the idea from within us. So, I have limitless imagination. I don't even know what to do with the Bible quote. I really honestly don't. Open thou mine eyes that I may behold wondrous things out of thy law. It's a psalm. And it also gives us a hint that, Ernest wasn't making these words up. He got them from a source. I had no idea that there was a psalm that referenced the law. So, so open my eyes. Open. It's an entreatment to God to open our eyes to see the beauty around us that God has created. So I guess I do know what to do with the Bible quote. I just had to not think about it. And sometimes that's the truth. I think sometimes we overthink Bible quotes. We overthink sacred texts. And if we wouldn't think about them, but we would feel them, we'd probably have a better idea what they mean. I hope that makes sense to you. Try it sometimes. Try not to think too hard about the Bible quote. Feel it. Read it out loud to yourself and feel it. The greatest satisfaction in using the law of life is in the consciousness that such a power is available. It's not what we create with the law. It's the idea that we can. It's the knowing that we can do this, and we can do it at any time. Nothing is permanent. That's Science of Mind teaches that things are constantly moving from spirit into form and from form back into spirit. Some things do it rapidly, i.e. that Buddha board, and some things do it less. Like, we can be in the mortal coil for, what's the record? 126? So it's knowing that this power is available rather than any use we make of it. It's the idea. For any particular use we make of it is a passing thing. And then he says, we do fantastic things with it. We whether it be healing oneself or others or producing any other temporary good. Whatever it is. And he said, all things are temporary except for the idea. All things are temporary except for the idea. All of these are transitory, and there is something in everyone that longs for permanency. And the permanency isn't in the mortal coil. The permanency is in the spirit. The artist knows, lay up your treasures not on earth but in heaven. The artist knows that even though he has created something beautiful, it can be destroyed. That's what I love about sunrises and sunsets. They're temporary. They're temporary. And clouds. I love clouds. I mean, I could sit on a mountaintop and take pictures of clouds for the rest of my life and be blissfully happy because I would never see the same thing twice. I would never see the same thing twice. But, and the pictures never do the clouds justice, but every day, there's this gorgeousness that happens. And the artist does it every day and doesn't care, you know? The artist, and I'm using the capital A there, when the artist creates that sunrise, when the artist creates that sunset, the artist doesn't care that it lasts from 5 to 30 minutes at the most. That's it. But the artist that creates it doesn't get bound up in making it perfect, because the artist knows that, one, the artist will get to try again tomorrow. And the artist does it whether or not there's anybody watching. That is the art that I ascribe to. Okay. His real and innermost satisfaction is not in the object, but in the subject. That thing within him that penetrates the mystic splendor of beauty itself. It's not in the finished product, but in the act of creation itself. That is where the satisfaction is. It's in the moment. Do not get me wrong, as an artist, because I love taking pictures, and I do some other, I love the finished product, but it is the moment, it's the time that it takes to do it. And that time does not exist here. The time when you are creating doesn't exist here. And it doesn't have to be, don't bind yourself up into art, because it can be what you do. I imagine that lawyers are, when they're doing, I'm going to use the word argument, when they are doing their argument, when they are practicing their art, that time is not here. The time isn't mortal time. That time is God's time. When you do what you love, when you are using your gift with the capital letter, that's God's time. That's Spirit's time. And that's where it is. That's where it is. That's where the satisfaction is. It's not the end result, although that is fantastic too. Do not get me wrong. Okay. So it is with all of our temporary creations. Empires may rise and fall, chance and change, and the comings and goings of human events inevitably must give way to something bigger. You are greater than the sum total of all of the experiences that you have had. And that is spirit. Spirit is greater than all of its parts, and we are its parts. So spirit is bigger than us. And when we tap into that, then we become bigger than the mortal part of us. Bigger than the mortal part of us. I know that a law of life exists and that I am one with it and inseparable from it. I am a part of an infinite energy from which I draw limitless creative imagination. I am greater than I am greater than the mortal form that I wear. You are greater than the mortal form that you wear, because you plug into something bigger than we are. And we filter it down through us. This energy is the invisible essence and substance of every visible form. Its nature is goodness, truth, beauty, and love, and that is my nature too. Its nature is goodness, truth, beauty, and love, and that is your nature too. Those are the qualities of God. Those are the qualities of God that we teach. Is it all of them? Gosh, no. But anytime we tap into any of those with the capital letter, then we are participating in God. We are participating in spirit. That's when we turn any of those activities into verbs. That's when we turn spirit into a verb. We turn spirit into an action. We turn God into an action. Its nature is goodness, truth, beauty, and love. And that is our nature too. So, I'm glad I saw that sunrise this morning. I'm not sure about a mission today. Wow. Okay, let's try this one on for size. Our mission today, should we choose to accept it, is to find that satisfaction in the subject, the satisfaction in the creation, the satisfaction in the doing, the satisfaction in participating in the activity of spirit, whatever that looks like. And I'm not asking you to go create art, because what you do for what I like to call our mortgage paying jobs, that can be it. That can be it. It's about dipping into the full use of spirit, that full use of the gifts of who we are to create something. But it's not being focused on the object, but focused on the creative process. It's kind of one of those woo-woo missions. I get it. It is definitely one of those woo-woo missions. But tap into the nature, your nature of God, the truth, the beauty, the creativity, the unity, the peace, the harmony, the love, the beauty that you are just by virtue of being you, authentically you. All right, beloveds. Okay, I'm gonna move on into the process of my day. But as always, I'm going to encourage you to do something loving for yourself, do something kind for yourself, do something compassionate for yourself today and every day. The more loving, kind, and compassionate you are with yourself, the more you will have to share with everybody else. It's one of those things that multiplies itself by virtue of you practicing it on yourself. It's just the way it is. The more compassionate you are with yourself, the more compassion you will have for the world. All right, beloveds. Please do something to engage your mind and your body today. It's in the 40s out there. I don't know that you want to open your windows, but get some fresh air. Get a fresh perspective. There is some sunshine right now here. So get 5 or 10 minutes of sun on your face. The earlier morning sun definitely does help to reset your hormonal patterns. It is wonderful and warming, and there is just something about the feeling of the sun on your face. It is a pleasure that cannot be described. So please do that, and drink some water. Drink some water. It's wintertime. We don't drink enough water in the wintertime, so I think that's why I've started encouraging us to hydrate. But Yeah. Remember that you are a beloved child of God, in whom God is well pleased, always and forever. This is the state of grace that we live in. So please open the windows of your soul. Allow the breath of heaven to remind you that you do live in heaven now. And it is about a conscious opening up of those eyes from that quote this morning from the Psalm to see it around us. All right, beloveds. It's Tuesday, so Reverend David will be on with you around 5 p.m. and I will be back with you at 9 a.m. And I'm still working on a new routine, so I'm going to meet my personal trainer with my husband. He's going to start his workout with me today or tomorrow. So this will be fun. You'll get to hear about it tomorrow. All right, beloveds, have a wonderful day.